Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on our YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Jonathan Voico.
Hello, everybody.
Robert Meyer-Burnett.
How's it going?
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thanks for being here, making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a bunch of predetermined topics, mostly very Oscars-centric. And then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. Now, the way you send in a comment or question is by using our Super Chat feature if you're watching live. However, I just turned off the Super Chats because you guys literally filled them all up before we even started the show. So you're not going to be able to send in any more questions today, but don't worry, we'll open up the Super Chats again tomorrow. And if you did get one in today, we'll get to answering those as long as we deem them appropriate to be addressed on our show in the second part of the show. All right, guys. Big day today.
Big day.
The Oscar nominations were this morning. We're going to go like a lot of record-breaking stuff. Some big surprises.
Delroy Lindo.
Snubs as well. We're going to talk about all those, but before we do, we're going to talk about this. Well, as we talked about yesterday, they dropped a little teaser for the first Masters of the Universe He-Man trailer that was going to drop today, and drop it did. Came out, went and checked it out, and this is, of course, is really our first real full look at it. Now, look, before I get into what I thought about it, let's just say that to bring something as, and listen, I'm a child of the era. I loved it as much as anybody, but let's call it a spade a spade. To try to bring to life into the big screen, something loaded with ridiculousness as He-Man does. The strong man running around in fur G-string with a sword, holding aloft Excalibur thrown to him by some watery tart, or whatever they say in Monty
nice
Python.
callback.
I knew you'd like that one.
The Lady of the Lake is not some watery tart, John.
Take it up with Monty Python. There is, and fighting a bad guy with a skull for a head. There is something inherently ridiculous about that. And the idea about trying to bring that to manifest life, I mean, listen, the Dolph Lundgren one should tell us. That's a hard ask. It is a hard ask to do. So I don't think there was any way they could do a Masters of the Universe trailer that at all pleased everyone. There's just no way. Like, do you want it to be true to the original cartoon? Then it's going to be kind of silly. It's going to be light. It's going to be fun because that's what the original cartoon was, guys. I mean, that's what it was. Or do you break from that and make it more modern and more epic? Then you're going to piss off some of the purists. So I'm just acknowledging up front that any attempt to bring He-Man to a live action big screen is going to be filled with some obstacles.
Fraught with peril.
Fraught with peril. Well put.
That looks like Sandman right now.
Let's talk about the trailer.
Do I?
Yeah, with the shirt.
Oh.
They look kind of look like Sandman.
I thought Thomas Hayden Church was in the room.
Little Thomas Hayden
What's
Church
going
in
on?
here.
Boy, I didn't even think about that.
Right.
I got this for Christmas.
Nice.
So, okay, there are things I quite liked about it and some things that have me rather worried in the trailer. Understanding all the precursor I gave to all this. And I must admit, before the show started, I sat down and watched it again, like literally about 2 minutes before the show started. And I liked it a little bit more the second time I watched it. But here's the general thing. Number one, what we told you guys coming out of CinemaCon, like, if you are a stickler and a purist for wanting the traditional designs of the characters, oh boy, you're going to be happy. Because they look perfect. Like, do you got that shot of Evil Lynn?
Yeah, I got to find it.
Let's see if you can get it. There's a shot, if you blinked, you missed it. But there's just like Alison Brie, quick split second of Evil. That's it. That's like, if you're a traditional purist and you want Evil Lynn to look just like she did in the cartoon, that's her. I mean, right down to every detail in the costume, the headdress and everything, bang on. Oh my God, that one shot of Beast Man.
Yeah.
It was utter perfection. It was utter perfection. All that kind of stuff. Grayskull looked great. I did really appreciate those more quote unquote epic moments where like you're seeing this huge Battle of Helm's Deep, melee taking place in front of Grayskull as clearly it's under siege and all that kind of stuff. I thought that looked really good. And then you have Gershamashamasha.
Galvatine.
I thought, isn't that what I said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gevershgeber.
So we go from all that to him in that ridiculous pink shirt, looking like he's dry humping a mannequin.
He's Prince Adam, dude.
Dry humping a mannequin. There's your animated GIF.
Yeah, it's a pretty fit mannequin, though.
And going, don't worry, it's mine. And I couldn't help but get a traumatic flashback of Thor: Love and Thunder a little bit, and moments of Thor: Love and Thunder. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't point this out. The Skeletor look. Now, granted, that was a difficult one.
Fleeting.
Yeah.
We saw fleeting glimpses.
That's a difficult one to do, right? Like they clearly took the design right from the animated screen and brought it to life, but I don't know if it manifested quite as well. We didn't get a look at Battle Cat. I mean, we saw Cringer, but we didn't really see Battle Cat, and I'm really dying to see Battle Cat.
Like, that's pretty Battle Catty. That's Battle
He just
Cat.
needs his armor.
But I don't think that's him at his full size.
Yeah.
Or in his armor, and I'm really looking because okay, look, I gotta say that looks pretty awesome.
It looks awesome.
That looks pretty awesome. I'm gonna give it that. So I don't know. I have come away from this trailer, Rob, perplexed. Because like I said, there are absolutely elements of it that I thought were really impressive. And then there were elements of it that were the manifestation of all my fears and anxiety about how silly a He-Man movie could look in a modern thing. It's just the first trailer. We really didn't get much. So, I don't know.
So that looks dope, right?
Everything surrounding Grayskull, that all looked amazing to me. So, I'm not walking away from it disillusioned with Masters of the Universe. Nor am I now even more hyped for Masters of the Universe. I'm still looking forward to seeing it. But again, the trailer leaves me a bit perplexed. And Rob, if I really think about it, could it have been any other way? I don't know. But anyway, you had a chance to check out the trailer. And you saw everything I saw at CinemaCon too. So you had a chance to see the trailer. What impact did the trailer make on you? What are you coming away with?
I feel like you did. I was perplexed. Maybe it's because, I don't know, I want to say 20 years ago, I want to say Mark Prasevich, I think that's how you pronounce his name, he wrote a script called Grayskull. And it was a hardcore fantasy epic. It was a He-Man story, but it was called Grayskull. And I thought that this would be more, like I've said, like the tone of Dungeons and Dragons that we all like. But this, it seemed to me like, I think this looks great, although it's...
You're talking about the Chris Pine Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, the Chris Pine Dungeons and Dragons. Now, this looks... I mean, I love the Frank Langella version from Masters of the Universe 87. But I did feel that they have our world in this trailer. Like, Adam lives in our world, and like, is He-Man supposed to be a cartoon in that world?
Well, no, I did like how they set it up where when he was younger, the sorceress sent him to Earth to keep him hidden.
Right.
And now he needs to return. So
I mean, is there
appreciate the explanation.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed to me...
I don't think there's a He-Man in that Earth, though.
Right. But they've got something, because he sees the...
There's a barbarian.
The barbarian with the sword. I mean,
well, at first, I thought it was a He-Man statue, but when the camera panned around, it was some...
Because it's a collectible
random
store.
Barbarian.
There's got glass cases with... Which I don't mind, but I'm curious as to how that's going to work. I still think, by the way, that the tone of this movie, that looks, I mean, that's He-Man.
That's it.
Look at how big he is. Look at those arms.
Now, look, the one thing I'll say, though, is what did stand out to me immediately, and we knew this, even in that picture where he is in much better shape than you or I, that's not exactly the He-Man physique that we are accustomed to, but we had to know going into it that there's only maybe 15 people on the planet who can look like that, and none of them can act. So
that looks pretty
he's
good.
in great shape, and the costume is exactly right, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So I am still going to trust Travis, John, because
I agree.
I think the tone of it, this is coming from the guy who made Kubo and the Two Strings and Bumblebee. And like you said, it is He-Man. So I am cautiously optimistic. I felt this was a little too silly for me. I wanted to see more of an overtly, more of a hardcore fantasy story. But it is Masters of the Universe. Yeah. So I have to go back and think, well, you do have the source material, but I was kind of looking for one thing, whether you like the Michael Bay Transformers movies or not. I really liked the first one.
Oh, so did I. I
liked
the
tone of it because they made me believe, I believed that the Transformers could exist in our world. And that's kind of what I like. Like when Godzilla is Godzilla -1 made me believe in Godzilla. I want to believe that Eternia and He-Man and Skeletor and Man-at-Arms and Teela and whatever, She-Ra, are real. That makes sense. And this did not quite convince me yet. But if it has a tone of, say, Back to the Future, I'm in. But I don't know that yet.
Yeah, and that therein lies the difficult tight wire that they have to walk, right? Because, like our friend Christian Harloff, he's often said to me that the way you do Masters of the Universe is like you do Lord of the Rings crossed with Star Wars. And okay, but that's going to alienate a lot of the traditional purists of the show, because that's not what the original show was.
It's nothing like the toys.
And so you got it. And I think you're absolutely right, Rob. I don't think my faith in the movie has been shaken because it is Travis Knight. And I'm going to give him all the benefit of the doubt. And really, when you looked at Bumblebee, it had that mixture of the light and silly with the heavier. And he found a way to strike that balance perfectly.
Which is why I think he got the directing job in the first place. He had a way to do it. But I think the people that are marketing the movie, like this trailer, I think Amazon's thinking to themselves, well, how do we... They're walking a tightrope.
Yeah.
Because they know
100%.
I think they know what they have is good. But the marketing, and you know how people are going to be. Look at the response to Kevin Smith's He-Man. Look at the vitriol. I didn't read any reaction to this trailer at all. I just saw it. I haven't looked at it. I haven't looked up. I was looking at the regular news. But I can't wait to see what the purists think.
Yeah, so it's going to, again, I'm not trashing on the trailer at all.
No.
There's a lot of stuff in there that I think are very positive. Again, just for me, then it was intermingled with some of these moments that felt, you know what? The trailer was clicking on all cylinders when it felt like Thor Ragnarok. And it was a little iffy for me when it felt like Thor Love and Thunder. You know what I mean? And
because I love Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, we all love Thor Ragnarok.
So hated it.
So again, first
Not as
trailer.
much as I hated Quantum Mania.
Let's give it a little bit of time. And I am still, like Rob said, choosing to trust in Travis Knight. And let's see where it goes.
Trust in Travis.
Guys, question is for you. What did you think about this Masters of the Universe? I still can't believe we're getting a live-action Masters of the Universe, 75 years after Dolph Lundgren did it. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.
39 years.
That's what I said, 75 years. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? And really, for the rest of the day, we're really going to be talking Oscars.
Yeah, man.
Because what an eventful day. And one of the first things we're going to talk about, go through all the nominees. We're going to specifically spend some time talking about the Best Actor category. We're going to spend some time talking about the Visual Effects category, who is and who is not there. We're going to talk about some of the surprises and the snubs that aren't around. But before we even get into that and talk about the Best Picture nominees, I think we got to do this. It is not every day that an all-time Oscar record falls.
Right.
And, it was brought up to me a little while ago, and some outlets started running with it, that there was a chance that Sinners could break the all-time Oscar record for most nominations. The current record is 14, held by 3 different films. The most Oscar wins is 11. Most recently to do that was Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. So 14 was the record. And I stand in front of you today, guys, that is no longer the record.
Nope.
My vote for Best Picture of the Year, Sinners, didn't just crawl over the mark, it eclipsed it. It got to 16. 16 nominations. The folks at Deadline write this: Sinners, with a whopping 16, just set the all-time record for nominations. It is up for Best Picture, Best Actor for Michael B. Jordan, Best Supporting Actress for Umni Mosaku, Supporting Actor for Delroy Lindo, which a lot of people didn't know if he would get that nomination, but he got it. Director and original screenplay for Ryan Coogler, music score song I Lied to You, cinematography, production design, costume design, sound editing, makeup and hair, casting, and visual effects. Now, I've already seen some debate about, well, it shouldn't count. The record shouldn't count because they added a new category with casting. True, but they've also taken away categories in recent years. For example, sound used to be 2 different categories.
Yep.
You used to have sound design and sound editing.
And it would have gotten both of those.
And they've merged those. And you know what? I actually kind of agree with the move. They've merged that into one category now, sound. So while one was added, one was taken away. And by the way, it didn't just beat the record by 1, it beat it by 2.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Now,
I mean, it doesn't count.
Although I will say, one of my favorite movies of all time, top 5 for me, All About Eve, was one of those movies. Sinners broke that streak, or broke that record, eclipsed it.
And if we go over and take a look, here's the chart. There's Sinners to the top. That we're talking about number of nominations. Boom, 16. Beating out its next closest competitor, One Battle After Another, that had 13. Then Marty Supreme, Sentimental Value, and Frankenstein. Look at that. Frankenstein. All getting 9. You know, one of those.
Frankenstein, actually.
Frankenstein.
Do you know what?
You know, one of them wasn't. One of the nominations wasn't for Frankenstein. Best Director.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that a little bit more.
By the way, how do you think that Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca are still dancing in the aisles today?
By the way,
are they just sitting back?
It's not just Sinners. Warner Brothers is significantly the studio with the most nominations this year. They have 30 nominations this year, more than any other studio. Has 2025 been a bit of a bounce back year for Warner Brothers? You think? Anyway, by the way, also down there, look at that. F1 with 5 nominations. Everybody guffawed at me the other day when I said F1 was going to get one of those Best Picture nominations. Guffaw, they said. I'm saying, guys, it's crowd pleasing. It's thrilling. It's the kind of action film that the Academy likes. Look at how they voted for Top Gun Maverick.
It's old school Hollywood, man.
It's old school Hollywood.
You got Javier Bardem and Brad Pitt.
It gets 5 nominations. Begonia,
Damn
5.
Believers.
Secret Agent, Train Dreams with 4. Blue Moon with 3. Surat, K-pop Demon Hunters. It Was Just an Accident, and Avatar, Fire and Ash, each with 2. But again, the story here is Sinners with 16 nominations. Now,
maybe Zaslav and Sarandos can have a little victory party later.
Yeah, a little dance. Listen, I don't think that, again, because if we go back to this, a lot of these are in the what they would call the technical things. Visual effects, casting, makeup and hair, editing, sound design, costume design, production design, those sorts of things. I don't necessarily think that Sinners now breaking the all-time record for most nominations necessarily improves its shots at the Best Picture. We'll talk about Best Picture in a bit. Because, I had a friend of mine text me this morning saying, is it now a lock that Sinners is going to win Best Picture? I'm like, even if you look historically, the film that gets the most nominations does not necessarily win the top prize of Best Picture. I don't know that it increases its chances, but good for everybody on this list.
Delroy Lindo.
It's great. So what's your takeaway seeing this 16 all-time Oscar record just broken?
Look, I think, what's been interesting to me about Sinners and the discussion around Sinners since the very beginning. You know, when it came out, you couldn't even like go to see it in 70. They were all, you couldn't get into
You had to
theaters.
book your ticket weeks in advance for a 70mm IMAX.
You know, to me, one of the great things about Sinners is how transporting it is to a time and a place. And it's very evocative. And what I love about it is I call it getting drenched in Sinners. You just feel the atmosphere. You know, when you're in that juke joint, you can tell how just sweaty it is and the music. And I just love the experience of that movie. And I think people really responded to that. Like it really gave them, and people just, I hated the fact that people would say, well, it's just like From Dusk Till Dawn. I'm like, okay, the idea that
really
there
isn't.
It's not.
No.
There's a venue, sure. And there are vampires, sure. But that's true of a lot of vampire movies. It just happened to be that the venues both had music. One's a strip club, the other's a juke joint. But the rest of it, I mean, it was evocative of America, that area. It was about the immigrant experience. I had to go look up. I hadn't gone to see a movie in a long time where I went and looked up and I said, were there really Chinese immigrants in that area of the country at the time?
There were.
And I found out, yes, there were.
Yes, there were.
And I was like, I didn't know this. And I spent like a day going down a rabbit hole and researching this. So, and I love the fact, having done my audio drama about the Al Capone era of Chicago, and that Smoke and Stack had come from working for Capone and working in that area, and they came down to make their bones in that area. I loved everything about it. And so to me, it does what a great Best Picture does. It's experiential, like you say.
Yeah.
It's transportive. It's delicious. The music score, you know, and Ryan Coogler, it also represents the fact that he's working with his longtime buddies. You know, his wife, they've worked together. His composer, they've worked together. They went to school together.
His actor.
Michael B. Jordan is like his what Scorsese had with Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio. He has in that. They've all known each other. Ryan Coogler negotiated a deal, an unprecedented deal that he'll own this movie. I mean, it really represents a core group of creators that really made something that is full of passion and love. And you can see it, like you can feel it. And Warner Brothers, Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca said, yep, we'll take that deal. And you felt it in every frame. I mean, the cinematography in this movie.
It's gorgeous.
And remember Ryan Coogler doing the Kodak? We talked about him doing that. How many directors have ever done that? Where you sit down and you watch a thing from Kodak about how the movie's filmed?
By the way, you mentioned the cinematography. One of the things that I don't hear people talking enough about is there's something very revenant about it.
Oh, yeah.
In the way that Ryan Coogler and his DP used light.
Very natural.
It's moving and emotive. Just the way they use both natural light and reflective and artificial, like the lighting of it is just, it's just art. It's beautiful.
And to me, you know, you could reduce this movie and say, oh, it's just a horror film. But to me, this movie represents what cinema at the studio filmmaking level should be about. I would think that every studio film should have this kind of passion and these kind of people behind making it. And you know what? Kudos to them and kudos to the studio for allowing this to happen, because this is synergy between a studio and a great bunch of filmmakers. I can't wait to see what they do next.
Now, here's the thing. 16 nominations. So I, of course, was hit with a couple of messages today saying, hey, John, the all-time record for wins, 11. Of course, the most recent to do it, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. It was done 2 other times before that, but no movie's ever won more than 11. Does that mean that record's going to fall? It's not.
No, it's not.
I you know, we've gone through the list because we'll talk more about this in a bit. It's not going to win Best Picture. Michael B. Jordan isn't going to win. I don't believe is going to win Best Actor. Wunmi Mosaku is not going to win Best Supporting Actress. Delroy Lindo is not going to win Best Supporting Actor.
Although I would give it to him.
If it weren't,
I love Delroy Lindo so much. When I saw his name,
I would vote for. I'm just saying it's not going to win. Even
if it weren't for Sean Penn.
Ryan Coogler is not going to win Best Director. Yeah. The song "I Lied to You," well, that's got a shot.
That could win.
That's got a shot. Let's go. Although,
but K-pop,
it's K-pop's year, man. It's Demon Hunter's year.
Yeah.
But you never know. Cinematography's got a shot. Production design. I'm going to say it's probably going to win 5.
Ruth Carter.
For costume
Her
design.
costumes are amazing.
Yep. Again, I'm going to go 5.
I can see sound and editing.
Very impressive 5 Academy Award wins for it. But but no, it's not going to break the Lord of the Rings mark. It's not going to break 11. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Sinners has just set the all-time Hollywood Oscar Academy Award nomination record with 16 nominations, eclipsing the former record of 14. How many do you think it can actually win now? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.
It's almost 2 months still to the Oscars. It's crazy.
Oof, a lot of, but the voting's going to be done. So,
Yeah.
All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, it's great to talk about Sinners getting all those nominations, but we got to talk about and focus now on the category, Best Picture. Of course, a number of years ago, it used to be that the Academy Awards had 5 nominees for Best Picture. Then they changed the rules where it could have anywhere between 7 and 10, depending on how the voting goes. And then just not too long ago, they changed the rules again where 10. It has 10 nominees every year, which I personally like. I just like the fact that it allows a greater amount of films to get that recognition. I do appreciate that, but let's be honest, it's not like it's a 10-horse race.
No.
It's really a 3 or 4 movie race. But let's go down and look at the movies, the 2025 movies that have been bestowed the highest honor there is in film, a nomination for Best Picture. Those films are Begonia, F1. Thrilled to see it get one of those nominations.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely
As
thrilled.
I refer to it, fun.
Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, which I loathed, but like everybody else on the planet loves it, I'm alone. One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams.
It is a great list.
Rob, it feels like every year we get around October, November, and we think, I feel like this is like this every year. We think, man, was this all that good of a year for movies? And then we get into the heart of award season and all these great movies are brought back up and it's like, oh my God, this was a great year for film.
Great year for film.
Awesome year for film. And by the way, I'm just going to throw it out there. There were a couple of others that could have gotten out there. Jay Kelly was one that some people looked at as maybe being one. It Was Just an Accident is one that maybe could have gotten one of the nominations. The one, though, that I said would get nominated, and it didn't, was Weapons. I really would have liked to have seen Weapons on this list, but I've got to say, I don't know who I bump off this list for it. I mean, I loved Weapons, but I don't know who I bump to make room for Weapons on it.
I am sometimes a snobbish, pretentious douchebag. I admit it. And I've always thought that a Best Picture should have some kind of universality. And the more you go into the genre space, the less universality, the less about... Yeah. And I think that Weapons is just too much of a genre film. I think it was groundbreaking. I think people are going to remember Weapons for years to come. But I don't think it would have been in this field, because you think about this field, there's so many wonderful films. It's not that Weapons isn't. But that's why science fiction, fantasy, and horror have had such a hard time to break into.
Yeah, I'm not, like I said, I kind of predicted it would get that 10th spot, and I would have liked to have seen it get that 10th spot. But at the same time, as somebody who is massively in love with Weapons, I'm not going to lose any sleep that it didn't get one of them. Because, again, the list is just so big. But
Another Warner Brothers movie. And like I see some people in watch us saying, oh, it should have bumped F1. Fuck that. No, it shouldn't have. No, it should not have bumped F1. F1 deserves a spot on that list, and I'm glad it's there. But as we mentioned, there may be 10 nominees, but there's not 10 contenders. No.
I think at most, realistically, I think it's 2. You could make an argument that it's a 3-horse race, and maybe if you're stretching it, it's 4. in no particular order, I think if I was going to say there are 4 films that actually stand a chance, it's One Battle After Another, it's Marty Supreme, it's Hamnet, and it's Sinners.
Yeah.
I think those are the 4 films that these are the 4 films that if they read its name out after opening the envelope, I won't fall out of my chair with shock. Like, I'm going to fall out of my chair in shock if Train Dreams gets mentioned. I'm going to fall out of my chair in shock if F1 gets mentioned as a winner, or Begonia, or Frankenstein, or whatever. But the 4 films, really, it's a 4-way race. It's One Battle After Another. It's Marty Supreme. It's Hamnet, and it's Sinners. If I had to narrow that down to 3, I would say it's One Battle After Another, Marty Supreme, and Sinners. Hamnet's got a shot, but I would say it's the most outside shot of the 4. And then I would say if it was between 2 of them, see, my vote would be Sinners, but I think if it's actually down between 2 of them, I think it's Marty Supreme and it's One Battle After Another.
I completely agree with you.
And then I'd have to say if I had to pick who I think is actually going to win, it's down to 1. It's going to be One Battle After Another.
Yeah.
And you know what? Again, my pick is Sinners, but One Battle After Another is so good that I have no complaints. And anyway, Rob, who do you see as our contenders? Who actually has a shot here, and why?
Well, I completely agree with everything you said. I totally agree with you. And look, it comes down to the fact that, again, Paul Thomas Anderson is one of our great filmmakers. He's been making great movies since Sydney, his movie Sydney, or AKA Hard 8. And I think it's his year. You know, I mean, I don't know why, but the internet, my feeds have been flooded with reels from There Will Be Blood. Oh. And I just keep watching.
That movie's
That
so
is the
good.
greatest performance. But every time Daniel Day-Lewis opens his mouth, I'm like, that doesn't even seem real.
Well, you know my contention. My contention is Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood. And I mean this wholeheartedly, it's personal opinion, but I believe that is the single greatest performance ever given on film.
It might very well. It might very well be, because every time he opens his mouth, I'm like, how did he even create that voice?
And it was under the direction
of Paul Thomas and writing
Anderson.
and direction.
Yep.
So, and you know, I think what's really interesting about, and that's why, like you said, One Battle After Another, it's not about the film's politics, because a lot of people who criticize that movie want to talk about its politics. It's loosely based on Thomas Pynchon's novel Vineland. So that all of it came from a very organic place. And it's not, remember, it takes a long time to write and direct a movie. Like, this movie didn't just get made for this political climate. It just happens to have a lot to say that a lot of people get pissed off by. But I think this film has that thing. It's got that universality. It's got satire, and it's got craziness, and and the performances in the film, all of them. I mean, maybe not There Will Be Blood, but everybody is good in it. Benicio del Toro is great in it. I mean, Sean Penn is off the rails.
He's
man.
my pick to win Best Supporting Actor.
Unbelievable.
He was so good in this.
So good in it. And so you look at this, you're looking at, it might not be your cup of tea, but you can't not recognize the greatness. But then all of the same is true of Hamnet, the performances. I mean, Jessie Buckley, and that the devastation of that, and the way Chloe Zhao approaches the material. Again,
dude, I was
incredible,
haunted by that movie days after watching it.
Unbelievable.
Like, I was haunted by it. It's so good.
It's unbelievable. And the thing is, I always ask people to, like, there's a difference between what you love and recognizing the greatness of art. It might not be the art you love, but you got to, an astute viewer can recognize, maybe it's not my thing, but I recognize that this is brilliantly done. And I think that we've all those, look, I loved Train Dreams. I had no idea what I was going to watch. I'm from the Pacific Northwest. I'm watching this. I'm like, what is this?
It was, not to sound cheesy, but it literally was haunting.
It was. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my God, because I've been in those forests. But all of the movies here are strong. But these 4, like you said, they're just great accomplishments all around. It's what you want from cinema. So, and like people take, well, I take F1 off the list. Well, I wouldn't, because we've seen car movies. You know, you look at Le Mans, you look at Ford v Ferrari, you go back and look at Grand Prix back in the day. F1 was a rousing Jerry Bruckheimer studio entertainment driven by movie stars that was filmed impeccably well, that's wildly entertaining, and that's not easy to do. You know, so even that, I'm looking at all this stuff, dude.
So let's boil it down to this then.
But I gotta say, those four.
Yeah, so we're in agreement on the 4.
100%.
What about narrowing it down to the 3? We say agreement with that Hamlet's probably on the outside looking in.
I think it is. I think you're looking at One Battle After Another and Marty Supreme.
Yeah, I agree.
You are, because...
And it's probably... Well, actually, that brings me to the question then. The 2 questions for you, Rob. Now that it's all said and done, the nominees are out. Who is going to win, and who's your... If you were a voting member of the Academy, who would you be casting your ballot for? So who would you vote for, but ultimately reading the tea leaves, who's going to win?
I would vote for One Battle After Another. And I think One Battle After Another is going to win. And I think that's only because at the end of the day, you know, Marty Supreme deals with some unpleasant realities about human beings in an unpleasant way. Whereas One Battle After Another has an element of satire in it. And I think that One Battle After Another it's a little bit more sprawling. But Marty Supreme is an astonishing filmmaking achievement. I mean, it really is. And the central performance, amazing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think One Battle After Another, I think it's pretty clear is going to win. My vote would be for Sinners. But there you have. By the way, I just had a thought. Make this movie. Somebody make this movie. You make a road trip movie with Sean Penn and Delroy Lindo as 2 adopted sons of the same parents with a weird relationship. Oh, I'd watch the hell out of that.
Oh, dude, I'm so happy that Delroy Lindo got a nom. I've loved him for years.
Yeah, good for him. All right. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about the nominee list? And if I put the same question to you, who would you vote for to win Best Picture? But then put that aside, and who do you actually think is going to win? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, there are several really interesting categories this year that we're going to have to keep our eye on. One of them is Best Director, although I think it's kind of a foregone conclusion. I think Paul Thomas Anderson is probably going to win, although my vote would be for Ryan Coogler. But listen, don't laugh. Chloe Zhao's got an outside shot to get her 2nd Academy Award for this. Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme, Ryan Coogler, of course. But I think it's pretty much a done deal. I think Paul Thomas Anderson is probably going to get it. Also, if you look at the Best Actress category, some great performances. Rose Byrne, Kate Hudson, Emma Stone. But I think it's a foregone conclusion here. Jessie Buckley's going to win.
Yes.
Jessie Buckley's going to win. But that brings us into what I think is turning out to be the most interesting and maybe most competitive category. Best Actor. Because I think for a long time it was just assumed Leo DiCaprio was going to win. Then, as award season started to progress, the Shams, Timothee Chalamet, started winning all the awards. Mm-hmm. And then he suddenly became the odds-on betting favorite by a significant margin to win. Lately, there's been a resurgence in, not Ryan Coogler, but Michael B. Jordan for Sinners. So as we look at this list, Timothee Chalamet for Marty Supreme, these are the nominees for Best Actor. Leonardo DiCaprio, One Battle After Another. Ethan Hawke, Handsome Hawk. By the way, is it just weird, or does Ethan Hawke just very quietly go about always getting Oscar nominations?
I was a little surprised to see him on that list.
Yeah, I was too. But you know what? Blue Moon was really good, and he was excellent in it.
He's always good. Dude, he's great in that new series, the series The Lowdown.
Oh, yeah? He's always good.
He's always good.
The thing about Blue Moon is I've never seen him play anything like that before.
Right.
So that was pretty cool. Michael B. Jordan and Wagner Moura. But look, so this one is a 3-horse race. It's clearly, I mean, all due respect to Ethan Hawke and Wagner, but this is a 3-horse race. It's Timothee Chalamet, it's Leonardo DiCaprio, and it's Michael B. Jordan. It is going to come down to those 3. The odds-on betting favorite is still Timothee Chalamet. But I think it's a pick'em at this point. I really do. I've just seen so much sentiment kind of sway one way and the other. I do think if I had to put $5 on it, I'm putting it on Timothee Chalamet. But my God, we go a couple of years and we think, Leonardo DiCaprio is Leonardo DiCaprio. But then you actually see him in his next movie and you're like, yeah, he's one of the best in the world. And he is so good in one battle after another. It's crazy. And Michael B. Jordan playing, as you know, we talked to Sean Chandler yesterday on the show, who points out not only does Michael B. Jordan play two different characters, but one of those characters plays two different characters because there's the human side of him and then the vampire side of him. I mean, and it's really remarkable. So this is to me, one of the most exciting best actor races we've had in a while.
Yep.
And it seems like it's always loaded, and it's loaded again this year, but I think this one's very competitive. I did not like Marty Supreme. I didn't like the movie. But Timothée Chalamet's performance in it is the manifestation of what I've been saying about this kid for many years now, that he's the one. He's the next one. He's the chosen one. He's it. And, you know, we're hearing Robert Downey Jr. even talking about it the other day. Talking about it the other day. It's just incredible. So for me, who will win? I still think it's going to be Timothée Chalamet, but I'm not going to be shocked at all if they say Michael B. Jordan or Leonardo DiCaprio. I think Timothée Chalamet will win. And if I was a voting member of the Academy, I got to say I'd be voting for Timothée Chalamet as well. And that's with all due respect to how amazing Michael B. Jordan is and how amazing Leonardo DiCaprio were this year. But that's how I see it. Rob, number one, do you agree with me that this is really just a 3-horse race?
I do.
And then who do you think will win? And who would you vote for if you were an Academy Award?
Dude, it's rough because I'm a big Leo fan.
He's amazing.
I mean, I love me some Leo DiCaprio, but Timothée Chalamet in that film was astonishing. Now, here's the thing. I've loved Michael B. Jordan all the way back, The Wire and Friday Night Lights. That's where
for me, it started with Fruitvale Station.
Yeah,
that's where I really became enamored with him.
Yeah, that was the first movie I think that I saw him in. So I'm a huge fan of his, and I just think though that the characters, the characters as written that he's playing in that movie do not get to do the actory things like as much, you know, as like Timothée Chalamet and Leonardo DiCaprio. Not as flashy. The performance is very convincing. And the fact that you're playing two different brothers that you, but I would like to say this. I mean, maybe Timothée Chalamet and Leo will split the vote, and Michael B. Jordan will win.
Yeah, you never know.
I mean, that wouldn't bother me. But I think
Leo and Michael B. Jordan will split the vote.
They will split, yeah. So it's tough. But I have to go with Marty Supreme on this one, because again, that performance is astonishing. All the colors and the nuances, and but not that. I mean, Leo playing the kind of a crazy person.
Oh, he's so good.
He's so good in it too. I mean, they're both, and again, a fearless performance. I mean, it's not like Leonardo DiCaprio. He looks schlubby in this movie, and what a great. It's just great performances, dude. I mean, but I think that it's Marty Supreme. I think it's Timothée Chalamet who's going to win.
Timothée. And I agree with you. I think it's Timothée Chalamet's award to win. But again, it can be any one of the three. And this is one of those categories because, you know, the categories and the winner it's like, yeah, just get on with it. We know who the winner is. I think I'm going to be holding my breath on this one. When they go to the winner I still think it's going to be Timothée getting his first of 7. He'll probably win in his career, but there you have it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about the best actor category? I think this is going to be the most hotly contested one in the entire acting field because I feel like we know who's going to win all the other ones. For example, we already know that I think Amy Madigan is going to win Best Supporting Actress. I mean, I think that's a foregone conclusion.
By the way, I would love to see that happen. I would love to see, Amy Madigan married to Ed Harris for a very long time. I've loved Amy Madigan since she was in Streets of Fire in 1984.
I think
Love
Jacob
her.
Elordi is going to win for Best Supporting Actor. We already know who's going to win Best Actress, but the lead actor one, this is the one that's going to come down to the wire. Who do you think will win? And then who would you vote for to win? Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? I'm a little biased when it comes to this one because I spent a couple of years working in a visual effects company. And VFX, visual effects.
Love it.
I love visual effects, man. I'm always moved by them and all that kind of stuff. And so every year, of course, I pay special attention to the category of best visual effects. And the nominees this year for best visual effects are Avatar, Fire and Ash, F1, Jurassic World Rebirth, The Reconnaissance Continues with The Lost Bus, and Sinners. Avatar, Fire and Ash, obviously.
Yeah.
And for whatever we think about Jurassic World Rebirth,
Right.
visually stunning. The visual effects were stunning and fantastic.
And beautifully, the compositions of all the dinosaur shots are amazing.
Again, continued to look impressive
Great
and
shots.
all
Really
that
well
kind of
designed
stuff.
shots.
100%. What really stood out to me in looking at this list was in a year where we had Thunderbolts, Captain America, Brand New Day. I know it's not Brand New Day. Where we had
The Marvel wishes it
Fantastic
was.
Four, where we had Superman. No comic book films were nominated for Best Visual Effects. And this is the first year in a while. I'm not saying this is a definitive fact. I'm just saying this is the first year that I can remember in a while where there were several big tentpole comic book films that year, and not a one of them got a visual effects nomination. And I say this with all due respect to Sinners, which did a great job with its visual effects, blending it in with the real environments. Same with F1, same with The Lost Bus. Absolutely. I do find it strange in a category where the Academy has traditionally heaped a lot of its love on the genre, on comic book genre, that none of them got nominated. And I do find that odd because like some of the visual effects in Thunderbolts I thought were just jaw-dropping.
Yeah.
I thought some of the visual effects in Fantastic Four they were just creating entire universes and worlds and stuff like that. I just thought were stunning and incredible, but none of them got on there. And just for me, I'm not saying other people should feel this way. And again, I'm not saying there's a bias. No, traditionally this category, the Academy heaps a lot of love on the comic book genre. I'm just really surprised to see none of them on there this year. Anyway, Rob, you saw it. Maybe it's much ado about nothing. Maybe you looked at this list and didn't even blink at it. I don't know. What do you think?
I really didn't blink at it because I think that the superhero genre, the thing about effects is it's how real, obviously how the verisimilitude do visual effects create that verisimilitude, that reality. And I think that the thing about the Avatar films is everything is a visual effect. It's astonishing. It's absolutely astonishing. The design of those shots, James Cameron, what people don't understand is it's not just the actual effects. Are the effects good? It's the design of the shot itself. It's you have to make us believe. And Avatar does that better than any film ever that's ever used visual effects. That said, in movies like F1, we don't even know there are visual effects. Car crashes, things are going on.
Which is part of its genius.
Which is part of the genius, and that's part of what great visual effects are. I think the thing with superhero movies is you're very aware what the effects are. Oh, it's Galactus. And, they did things like they had a real actor, and they were mocapping him in the Galactus suit and comping him into these backgrounds. Really cool stuff, but not stuff we kind of haven't seen before. Same with like Superman. Those are kind of traditional They've been doing effects like that for a long time. I do think that Avengers Doomsday is going to get a nomination for visual effects simply because there's going to be things in there that I don't even know how they're going to do. But so that didn't surprise me. Jurassic World, again, still hard to do, but those effects were designed, the shots themselves, the interaction, especially like in the water, those scenes are amazing because it's hard to make water look good, especially with dinosaurs. So that didn't surprise me. So I think I think everybody was well-deserved. I didn't expect to see superhero titles in it. I'm surprised that they didn't give it to one, but it didn't surprise me because there was some really great achievements this year.
There was, again, just for me though, as somebody who worked in the industry, it's like the task of bringing the fantastical and putting it on the screen and make the audience feel immersed in it. Like Galactus is walking through downtown New York, right?
Totally.
That is mind-blowingly difficult to do.
Yes.
And so I was just a little bit surprised. And I've seen some people in the live chat saying, well, but, for example, Fantastic Four wasn't really all that good. It doesn't matter. This isn't about which was the best movie. Right. It's about the visual effects. And I really...
But I agree with you.
Yeah, but again, not taking anything away from a number, but Lost Bus had some very good effects in it.
Unbelievable effects.
Yeah, some really good stuff. But when you compare to the sheer magnitude and scale of the undertaking and the thousands and thousands of artists who had to collaboratively make that whole thing come together for, let's just use Fantastic Four as an example. I really think Fantastic Four should have been in there, but...
Yeah. But I mean, fire is really hard to do convincingly. Even now, just a burning tree is really hard. And that movie gave me anxiety. It did. Totally gave me anxiety because it was real.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What did you think about this? I mean, I'm sure it's happened in the last few years. I'm just saying it's difficult for me to remember in a year that had several big tentpole comic book films. None of them got nominated for Best Visual Effects. Anyway, I just thought it was strange. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? What is an Oscar conversation without talking about what we thought were the snubs?
Dun, dun, dun.
Now, first of all, I should say this. I bring this up every year. The word snub is far overused and abused and not properly used. Maybe more than any other term in the film fans' vocabulary. Because to me, snub is a hard term. And it should only be applied, in my opinion, should only truly be applied when something that you believe had a legit shot of winning didn't even end up getting nominated. Like that is a snub. I think of the year, why am I freezing on the name of the horror with Toni Collette?
Heretic.
Heretic. No, not
Heretic.
Not Hereditary.
Hereditary.
Oh, it was Hereditary, right.
Yeah, Hereditary.
Like, I thought that year there was a really solid chance that we had our Oscar winner.
Oh,
that she was going to be standing there on the stage
unbelievable.
holding the Oscar, and then she didn't even get nominated. Like we talk about, I would have liked to have seen Weapons get a Best Picture nomination, but I ain't going to call it a snub because it had no chance in hell of ever winning. So I don't call that a snub. I think we overuse the term snub. But, of course, the Oscar nominations come out, so we got to talk about snubs. Deadline put out a pretty interesting article running down what they would consider their snubs, their big surprises, and I thought we'd run down through them. The first one they mention, and I got to admit, I'm kind of surprised she didn't get a nomination. Ariana Grande. I would, honestly, as much as I didn't really like Wicked for Good, her performance in it was really quite spectacular.
Yeah.
She was really good.
She's a really good actress.
And I'm kind of surprised that she didn't end up getting nominated. As a matter of fact, Rob, here's an interesting thing. Wicked for Good, which I believe last year got 10 nominations, winning 2 Academy Awards. Wicked for Good got shut out. Not a single nomination. As a matter of fact, Last year, it won the Academy Awards for Best Production Design and Best Costume Design.
Yeah, Paul Tazewell.
This year, didn't get nominated in either category. 10 nominations last year, Zippo this year. I really thought Ariana Grande, even though I'm not particularly taken with the movie itself, I really thought Ariana Grande would get one of those Best Supporting Actress things. So I think it's interesting the deadline brings that one up. And then I think it's, by extension, it's interesting that Wicked for Good got no nominations this year. And again, I have no issue with that. Also, they list as a snub Guillermo del Toro with all those nominations that Frankenstein got. Not one for Best Director. They write, Guillermo del Toro, the Epis voters seem to love Netflix's Frankenstein, and yet not the past Oscar winners whose vision and directing brought it to life. Now, Rob, this brings up a conversation we had every year. Because every year, inevitably, there's a director that doesn't get directed, that doesn't get nominated, but their movie did. And somebody goes, well, did that movie just direct itself? But this is the reality we live in now, where we have 10 nominees for Best Picture, but only 5 nominees for Best Director, which means every year we're going to get 5 movies that get nominated for Best Picture whose director, and this year was Guillermo del Toro. And I'll tell you what, I really did think Guillermo del Toro was good. I'm not going to call it a snub because I don't think he had any chance in hell of winning this year, but I did think he was going to get one of those nominations. What did you think about that?
Well, I did too, but always remember, John, I always go back to Jaws. Jaws was nominated for Best Picture, but Steven Spielberg was not nominated for Best Director. And there's a great moment in a documentary on the Maniac physical media of somehow Joe Spinell, who played Maniac, who was in The Godfather, Taxi Driver, New York character actor. He was somehow in the room with Spielberg when they were watching the nominations come out. And Joe Spinell says something to the effect of what? They think someone's mother directed that movie? You know, it's something like that. And yeah, it's kind of a bummer. But you know what? Guillermo will come back. Look, Shape of Water, Shape of Water won Best Picture.
Yep, and he's got his Oscars already, and he'll be back again.
He'll come back.
All right, some of the other things that the Deadline article points out as being some of the notable absences. Smashing Machine, not just for Dwayne Johnson. You know, there was some buzz
There was
early
a lot of, yeah.
that this is going to be the year that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is going to get an Academy Award nomination. Now, he did not, and he didn't deserve it. But don't let that distract you from the fact that 2025 was the year that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson literally turned in one of the best performances of the year.
Yeah.
Who would have ever thought we would ever say those words? It wasn't top 5, and I don't think it deserved any of the actual nominated actors should be bumped out to make room for him. But he turned in legitimately one of the top 10 best performances of the year. Never thought that would happen. And ultimately, its awards aspirations kind of fizzled out as the months passed. And Smashing Machine really didn't get much other than a makeup and hairstyling nomination is what it got. Which, by the way, deserved that. It deserves that nomination. Chase Infinity did not get nominated for One Battle After Another. And a lot of people kind of felt like she was the heart and soul of that movie.
She was great.
Really. And she was great, but you know what? I'm not going to call it a snub. She was really good, but I don't necessarily feel strongly that it was Oscar worthy. But let's keep an eye on her because she's going to be great. Paul Mescal. I've said this before. I have never been sold on Paul Mescal as an actor. I've always thought he's been a little bit overrated until I saw Hamnet. And while he may be overshadowed a little bit by his co-star in it, Paul Mescal was flat out brilliant. And I would have guessed he would have gotten a nomination. Again, I wouldn't be in the running to win, but I would have guessed he would have been one of the nominees, and he didn't get it. So that was a little bit interesting. No Other Choice, Park Chan-wook's movie with a guy who's just popping up everywhere these days in Lee Byung-hun. I thought it was a really good movie. I'm not losing over sleep that it didn't get any nominations. to be honest with you. Like, again, it's a really good movie. It's kind of dark. It's got that dark comedy to it as well. But I'm okay that it didn't get any nominations. A lot of people surprised Miley Cyrus did not get nominated for her. Like, the whole reason I think she did that end song for Avatar Fire and Ash, because she saw herself standing on the stage winning an Oscar, and she didn't even get nominated for it. It's fine. She was never going to win in a year that K-pop Demon Hunter's Golden, which is the #1 song on the entire planet. So
right.
But still, a lot of people thought she was. Joel Edgerton didn't get any love for Train Dreams. Again, not really surprised. Then they go into their surprises. F1. Remember, guys, I told you the other day it was going to get one of those nominations. It's just one of those films. Like Rob said, it's old school Hollywood. It's the thrills. It's the immersion. It's the excitement. You got a larger than life big screen hero in Brad Pitt in it. It won, so a lot of people consider that a big surprise. Stellan Skarsgård getting his nomination for Best Supporting Actor. Some people, I think it's a foregone conclusion that Jacob Elordi is going to get it, but a lot of people think it's going to be Stellan Skarsgård, which, by the way, if you haven't seen Sentimental Value, it might be, as an ensemble, the best overall performances as an ensemble out of any movie this year, and he was a big part of it. They also, big surprise, Delroy Lindo. And Rob, I know you're really happy about this one.
I really am.
What in particular about it makes it like you particularly happy about this
Well, because, Delroy Lindo he's got a great look. He's a very distinct looking actor, but I'm a big voice person.
He's got such a great voice.
His voice. And even when he shows up in a small role, they're finally releasing The Devil's Advocate, the Al Pacino, Keanu Reeves movie that Taylor Hackford directed. He has a small role in it, where he plays like a voodoo priest that's on trial and he gets to practice his religion. Even in that, he's awesome. And and to see an actor who has turned in wonderful, he's not always the leading man, but he has turned in one great performance after another. That dude has never phoned it in, and he's been working for years. And somebody finally noticed and said, you know what? That guy's one of our greatest actors. And I just love seeing him get it, especially for this movie.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
Again, I don't think he has any chance to win, but I just love that he's getting the recognition.
I saw somebody recently, I don't remember who it was, some celebrity went up to him at some red carpet event and said, your performance in Sinners reminded me of my uncle or somebody. And this person, I don't know who said this, and the person was, Delroy Lindo was taken aback, and he said, that's the best thing you could have said to me. People, you believe him. You always believe I just love Delroy Lindo. Oh. He's the best.
Let me throw it over to you, Rob. Whether it's one of the ones that we just saw listed off here in the Deadline article, or maybe a different one altogether, is there a particular omission from any of the nominees that particularly stands out to you?
I don't think so, because it's not like something was omitted and something else got it that wasn't worthy. Wicked for Good. Look, once you've seen Wicked, it's not like the Lord of the Rings movies where each movie is very different. It was one movie. So I think that getting nominations and winning things like Paul Tazewell's amazing costume design that he won the Oscar for last year, it's not like anything changed. But they already awarded that film, so I don't see that so much as an omission. It's just, it was one part of the same movie. But I think this year, I really like how all the categories really represented a lot of what was going on. I didn't see a lot of movies omitted, and people across the board. The fact that Amy Madigan did get nominated for Weapons.
Yeah.
And that's important, that somebody didn't overlook. I mean, she's basically playing a witch, a crazy Raggedy Ann witch. And that, the Academy could have said, well, we don't usually nominate. Once upon a time, maybe a Joaquin Phoenix will get a playing Joker and get it, or Heath Ledger. But it was pretty dope that Amy Madigan, and if she wins, I'm going to be cheering for that. Yeah, because you go, Zach Kreger, for writing that role, and you go even harder because you cast Amy Madigan in that role, which took foresight, and that was awesome. Because I don't think a lot of people would have thought to do that. I bet Zach Kreger did it because that's what he wanted to do, and I bet he knew he was going to do that from the beginning. And
Well,
I love Amy Madigan.
She's so good in it. Anyway, guys, that
It was just like the 60s.
is kind of our wrap up of talking about the
cow.
second biggest day in the movie calendar year, which is Oscar nomination day. They came out, and listen, while we can sit here and nitpick about who should have gotten the 4th spot on this or which movie should have gotten the 9th spot on this, I feel pretty good in saying, basically speaking, the Academy got it right. We can nitpick about a few little things here and there, but there's no huge obvious omissions. Like, again, I might have slotted weapons into that number 10 or number 9 spot, but at that point, it's not really impactful. I really feel like they basically got it right this year, even with a few little surprises. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Are there any big omissions to you that you think are just crazy that such and such didn't get a nomination or anything like that? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your comments and questions that you guys have sent in before the show started. But before we do, we're going to bid good afternoon to writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, my friend. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Good day today. Yes, you'll talk to me tomorrow.
All right. So, guys, with that down, let's get over to your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what do we got up first?
First up, we got Taki75. Snub of the year is Gal Gadot for Worst Actress. Was she not nominated for a Razzie?
She was not. I don't think she was nominated for a Razzie.
Man.
Which, you know what? They've got that one category for worst pair or whatever.
Can't even win for
really,
losing
she
these
should.
days.
By the way, Rob, you're still here.
Yeah.
I've got to find the name of it and share it sometime. There's an Instagram account where it's this woman who just does Gal Gadot impersonations in her acting.
Man.
I've seen that.
You've seen it? Yeah. It is so hilarious because it's so on the money. It's so on the money. It's like, yeah, she is truly one of the worst actresses in the world today.
But I love her. I love Gal Gadot.
But I mean,
remember,
she's so likable.
She's
so likable.
She's Han Solo's girlfriend in the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Who fell off a plane in a 75-mile long runway. All right.
Sun Kang knows what's up.
What's next?
Two-parter from Amin. A horror vampire action musical thriller with a primarily black cast and crew just smashed the record for most nominations. Just think about that. 10 years ago, no way the Academy would recognize sinners like that. A huge step for the Academy, a huge step for genre films.
I
Congrats to all.
don't agree. I don't think you're right that the Academy wouldn't have recognized it. I think 20 years ago, it would have been difficult to get that movie made. But I think also if that movie had been made and came out in that era, I think absolutely the Academy would have recognized it. 100%. You know, there were some people who gave me some heat, and I welcome it. Remember when that whole Oscars so white thing was going on?
Uh-huh.
I did an editorial that I stand by. I said, no, the Oscars aren't so. The Oscar voters' job is to vote for who they legitimately thought was the best that year. It is not their job to balance out nominees. No. Their job is to vote for the best. I said the problem was Hollywood as a whole, that Hollywood as a whole was not giving, remember, we're going back a few years, that Hollywood as a whole was not greenlighting enough projects that showed the real diversity that properly reflected our actual culture.
And hiring, and the hiring behind the camera.
And the hiring behind the cameras and all that kind of stuff. I said, we agree that there's the problem. We just disagree on where the problem manifests. I don't think it's the Academy's job to vote for something they don't think is the best. They will, and they always have. I said the problem exists in the amount of opportunity in greenlight and projects and who's getting hired and all this kind of stuff to give them the opportunity to be in a position for the Academy to recognize them. But anyway, so all that is to say that, yeah, you're damn right. I think if Sinners was made 10 years ago, the Academy absolutely would have recognized it. I just don't know if 20 years ago,
it would have been
how challenging it would have been, the extra challenges there would have been for this movie even to get made.
Sure. Yep.
Anyway, all right, what's next?
Samuel says, with Michael B. Jordan being nominated for Sinners, does he get nominated for both roles, Smoke and Stack, or just one?
No, this question comes up a lot when I remember this question even coming up back in the day when Tootsie was coming out. And it's like, okay, but does Dustin Hoffman get nominated for playing the male side or the whatever side? No, look, you get nominated. You don't get nominated for a character you play. You get nominated for your performance in a film. And so here's a great example. Tatiana Maslany for, what's the name of her show? 50 Shades of Black. It's not 50 Shades. It's something black. Orphan Black.
Oh, yeah.
Where she played like 700 characters. She did not win her Emmys or her awards for playing this particular version. No. She gets the award for her performance in the show. And so no, you don't get nominated for playing Smoke or Stack. He gets nominated for his performance in Sinners overall. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Mike, who says, the trailer for Maul, Shadow Lord is out. I agree with you 100% that it's an unnecessary show, but since it's Star Wars, we'll be checking it out on April 6th. So that's on April 6th?
I don't think I will.
I'm going to test out the first couple episodes.
Now, let me say this. It's a good trailer.
Yeah.
It's a good trailer. It really is. I mean, it's there's no getting around it. It's a really good trailer. The problem is, how many times are we going to go back to tell Maul's story again and again and again? Oh, no. See, this time it's in this sliver of time.
Yeah.
Oh, but in this one, we're going to tell again the prequel story of Darth Maul in this sliver. Like, they're constantly finding new little pockets of time to tell new Maul stories. And listen, I'm as big of a fan of the Darth Maul character as there is. I love the Darth Maul character, but we're constantly going back and finding new little, well, now this one takes place in between this and this, and now this one takes place in between this and this. And it's like, we've done it.
Yeah. I'm also like, and it's fine. The voice actor is amazing in it. He does a great job, and that's fine. That's the way they went. But I'm always a little confused as when did he become so regal and posh? Because in Phantom Menace, he was not regal and posh.
Well, he only had a couple of lines, though. And if you do listen to his lines, in the prequels, they are very well. At last, we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last, we will have revenge. Like he still carried that. It's just that they didn't give him much to say. Yeah. And so they kind of really developed him more in like Clone Wars and then, Rebels. He had a key storyline in Rebels as well.
I liked him in Rebels.
Yeah. But again, I just, how many times are we going to go back and tell more Darth Maul? Like, can we not, in a galaxy far, far away, find new characters and new stories to tell? But again, I say all that, but even I have to say it's a really good trailer. It really is, but I don't think I'm planning on watching it. All right, what's next?
007 says Helm's Deep at Castle Grayskull, heavy metal.
That's exactly the kind of feel I got. Not just with the design of it, but also those shots when you see these battles going on in front of it. It got very, very Helm's Deep kind of vibes to it, and that's a good thing. All right, what's next?
Berserk says prediction: Doomsday releases November 27, 2026, IMAX Thanksgiving. Doom TBA manipulate the countdown to reveal the date, which will be cool. Oh, it'll be announced if they're changing the date. If they want to move off that date, it'll be announced. But they're not going to use marketing to be like, just kidding, it's actually this date.
Yeah, they're not moving the date. I mean, look, Kevin Feige hasn't told me that. I mean, anything's possible. It is possible, but they've already moved the date of Doomsday. Remember, it was supposed to come out before Spider-Man Brand New Day. And then they made this major shift. I don't think they're going to shift it again. Yeah. I really don't.
And they may like, maybe I half agree. Like they might, let's say under the premise they were to move it, they could do something fun like that, but they're not going to announce it like that. It'll be in the trades and everything, that they're moving.
All right, what's next?
A. Marcellus says, now that we are entering the Filoni-verse, over under 40%, we are entering an era of more shows and movies that center around his characters and keep rehashing. Maybe, but then how short is his leash if it doesn't work?
Yeah, see, that's... Okay, so what you just expressed is my fear. That's my fear. Is that because so far, Dave Filoni has not exhibited any desire, propensity, anything to move beyond this one tiny little niche of the Star Wars universe. He's completely obsessed with the Ahsoka character, which nobody gives a crap about Ahsoka. I'm sorry, guys, but the general audience doesn't give a crap about Ahsoka. You can argue that all you want, but you're wrong. The little corners of the hardcore Star Wars fandom, it absolutely has its fans. Absolutely. 100%. No doubt. But like the viewership numbers of Ahsoka just kind of show that. And everything he seems to do seems to just kind of focus on this one little segment of the sandbox. Now, I choose to believe that part of the reason he got the gig was because he was able to convince, well, number one, convince Kathleen Kennedy. Because remember, Dave Filoni and Lin-Wen Brennan are Kathleen Kennedy's hand-picked successors. She picked them personally to succeed her in the role. But even though she picked them, Bob Iger had to approve it. And I choose to believe that Bob Iger approved Kathleen Kennedy's picks specifically because he pitched to them a vision of where Star Wars can go. My fear is that he's going to continue to be stuck in this one little finite Filoni bubble that most of the general movie-going audience don't give two squirts of piss about, and only the corners of the hardcore Star Wars fandom does, and that's going to lead to the death of Star Wars. Sorry, but it's true. But I choose to believe that he's got a bigger vision, that he has a learnable and a teachable spirit, and that he has a bigger imagination. And I choose to believe that he's going to take us further. But I agree, that is my fear, is that he's going to keep it in this one little tiny bubble that nobody's ever going to care about outside of the hardcore fans. All right, what's next?
Scott D says, Holy Trailer Day, Maul, Invincible 5, and Masters of the Universe. And then Phoenix says, I'm glad it got 16. If it had been 15, so much the conversation would have been. It only broke the record because of new casting. That's only if you're going to take the most convenient part of the argument and not talk about the fact that there was sound and sound editing. So they've removed one.
Exactly. And there were many movies who got nominations in both sound design and sound editing. So there was an extra one before, one has been taken away. So like, even if somebody wanted to have that argument with me, I would say, well, they balanced it out.
Right.
Yeah, there's a new casting one, but there's also one fewer sound design one, which is where a lot of the films got to pad their nomination numbers before. So that would be my response to that. All right, what's next?
Tim says, hey, gents, I'm happy that War of the Worlds was nominated for a Razzie. Didn't watch it because I don't hate myself. But Ryan, George's pitch meeting for it is hilarious. Have you seen it? I haven't, but if it didn't get Razzie's nominations, I would have thought that Amazon had paid them off.
Yeah, or, I mean, they just ignored it because it was a straight to Amazon streaming thing,
yeah.
right? First of all, I love pitch meeting. I think what he does on that is so fun. And look, this is giving myself way too much credit, but there are some pitch meetings he does where he says exactly the criticism, like he lampoons the exact criticisms I've made about a particular movie. And I wonder if he watches the show. Again, that's probably me giving myself way too much credit. Still, he's brilliant. And I love those, but I haven't seen the one he did on War of the Worlds yet. I should really check that one out. All right, what's next?
Isaac Martinez, I'm very shocked no other choice didn't get nominated. To be fair, the movie didn't get tons of promotions like Parasite. I also heard the back third of it, the final third of it kind of fell apart.
You know what? It flatlines a little bit. No, it doesn't fall off a cliff in the third act. It just kind of flatlines. Look, again, for me, first of all, Parasite is the better movie, in my opinion. But this is one that I think is one of many, many, many movies that falls under the category of really good movie. I really enjoyed it. But did I walk away with a conviction that it's a best picture contender? I personally didn't, so I'm not really surprised it didn't get that. All right, what's next?
Mashawn says, hi, John. What are your thoughts on Dune Prophecy?
I let's put it this way. I was underwhelmed with it. I didn't dislike it. I was underwhelmed with it, but saw the potential in it. Like, I feel like its season 1 was better than Lord of the Rings of Power season 1. All right. And if they can do what Lord of the Rings of Power did, because you know me, I didn't like Lord of the Rings. I mean, it had some good things in it, but I didn't really like season 1 of Lord of the Rings of Power. But season 2 was a massive improvement. Don't get me wrong, it's no Shogun or Game of Thrones or anything like that. But season 2 was a marked improvement. So if Dune Prophecy, which again, I think its first season was better than Ring of Power first season. If they can do what Rings of Power did, and really make some mechanical corrections going into its second season, I think it's got a lot of good building blocks there to be a really good show. They just didn't do it in season 1. But again, I didn't dislike season 1. I was just a little bit underwhelmed by it, but I've got optimism for its second season. All right, what's next?
Aaron says, hi, John. So sorry if this has already been addressed, but have you watched or plan to watch Starfleet Academy before your Paramount Plus subscription ends?
No. Listen, there is a lot of new Star Trek that I think is great. Like, for instance, I think Strange New Worlds is fantastic. I love that. But the new Star Trek is hit and miss. And, you know, I've watched the previews for this new Star Trek show, and it just doesn't look good. And I'm not hearing great things about it either. And I'm not the type of person that hate watches stuff. Life is too short to hate watch things. You know, I'd rather watch things that make me happy and bring me joy. So now I'm not planning on. Now, listen, if I have some really key people whose opinions I trust come to me and say, John, it's actually really quite good, I think you would enjoy it, well, maybe I'll give it a try, but I'm not planning on doing it unsolicited. All right, what's next?
We got Saint who says, hey, John, Sinners deserves it. It was a bloody brilliant film. Michael B. Jordan was outstanding, and don't get me started on Ryan Coogler.
I agree on all fronts. Again,
if it wins, I'm going to be like, cool, that's awesome.
Yeah, if I was an Oscar voter, Sinners would be getting my vote for Best Picture.
I actually
it's my favorite one.
I disagree a little bit with you and Rob. I think it's actually in the top 2, to be honest. I think it's One Battle or Sinners, and Marty is third, but Marty is in a top 2 for Best Actor. That's,
all right. What's next?
Apollo. My God, the new Fable game looks amazing. I have been burned by Fable too many times.
I am actually on the lookout for a new RPG to play, because on my list of priorities is I want to finally get around to doing my next run through of Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, nice.
But then I want to find another good RPG to do. So keep sending in recommendations.
All right.
What's next?
Mark Robinson, the domestic box office shouldn't include Canada. But
absolutely it should.
Yeah, because North America, they do release the same time.
Because they function as one territory.
Yeah.
It's approached with distributors. It is treated as a single territory.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not about nations. It's about this is the territory, and therefore it would be straight up stupid not to artificially segment them out, because it is treated by distributors as a single territory, and therefore it's counted as such. So absolutely it should.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Sam says potential Doomsday Oscar noms after reading it.
Sorry, read that one again.
Would there be Oscar nominations for Doomsday?
Oh,
I mean, obviously, I would assume visual effects.
Yeah, visual effects for sure. But again, there is a massive gasp and a massive chasm between theory and execution. I have read many scripts in my life that read awesome and then turned into bad movies because it just didn't execute. So it is ridiculous to even try to guess, because it doesn't get nominated based on the theory of it. It gets nominated on how it manifested and was executed. So at this point, it's impossible to say. All right, what's next?
We got the Batman who says, good day, John. No disrespect to Paul Thomas Anderson. He is a legend. Love him, but if I'm a voter, Sinners and Ryan Coogler are getting my vote with no thinking either. Your vote doesn't mean a disrespect to anyone else you didn't vote for.
Yeah, just because you vote for somebody else, like a vote for one thing does not mean you're disrespecting the other thing at all. Now, I disagree with you. Like I would be voting for Paul Thomas Anderson to win Best Director. That would actually be my vote. Overall, Sinners would be my vote for Best Picture. They are two different things. Some people mistakenly think that, well, if someone's Best Director, that means their movie was the best. No, not necessarily. Like it's Best Movie is the totality of all the disciplines and arts that go into making the film, not just the role of the director. And when you look at how One Battle After Another was directed, it's phenomenal. It's such a phenomenal job. And the job that he does with his performers and with his actors to create that environment is great. So I think overall the best movie of the year was Sinners. But if I was an Academy voter, I would probably be voting for Paul Thomas Anderson, with Ryan Coogler getting my second vote. So I would totally love it if he won. But I think it's a lot closer than you're giving it credit for. All right, what's next?
Silent Ghost says, I forgot to mention James Cameron on my list of favorite directors. Avatar, Terminator, Alien, Titanic are great. He's probably my second favorite.
Oh, you left off my favorite one.
Oh, was that... go ahead.
My all-time favorite action film. Let's see if anybody knows what that is. But that is my personal... I'll just see who's been watching the show for a long time.
Someone got it.
Joe Adonis got it. True Lies, man. True Lies. My all-time favorite action film. It's not that it has the best action
a lot of
in
people got it.
But all the things that go into what makes a great action film, that does it. That's my all-time favorite one. That's my favorite James Cameron film. All right, what's next?
A civil cone. Sorry, I probably butchered that. Good Day, John. I don't know how the hell people thought Ryan or Sinners weren't getting nominated. It's almost laughable. Did they miss the acclaim? Are people shocked?
I have literally, now I'm sure they're out there. I have literally not heard a single person say they didn't think Sinners was going to get nominated. I haven't heard a single person say that. Now, again, that doesn't mean those people don't exist, but I'm sure there are people out there who don't think ice cream is delicious. So, and they should be shunned away from society. But yeah, I don't think that's an actual problem, because I've never heard anybody say that myself personally. All right, what's next?
All right. This is Mark Robinson. I guess he had sent it in twice, basically worded it different, but it was about Canada and the domestic box
already
office.
answered. Yeah. All right,
Glad Sinners got all the nominations. This is from Silent Ghost, two-parter. Deserves to win them all, in my opinion. One of the best films I've seen in a lifetime. And he's 22 and a half. Or she, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, Sinners it's a stunning achievement. Like, I remember I walked out of that film and I remember my first time I talked about it, I was like, this is the best movie of the year so far. And I don't know if it'll still be the best movie of the year by the time we get to the end of the year, because it came out a little bit early in the cycle, obviously. And there were still a lot of films to come. But I said, as of right now, this is the best movie of the year. And it's gonna be up there in the running by the time we get to the end of the year. I don't know if it'll still be number one. It is. It's still my favorite film of the year. But yeah, it's just an incredible achievement. All right, what's next?
G. Chavez says, no doubt Nolan has the same IMAX exclusive contract for Odyssey or longer, which means no IMAX for Spider-Man 4. Marvel is SOL for IMAX this year.
First of all, Christopher Nolan has no contracts with IMAX. Distributors have contracts with IMAX.
Yeah. And that would be Universal.
And there is no such thing as a blanket contract with IMAX. IMAX doesn't go, oh, whenever you make a movie, we'll just put it in IMAX. No, they have schedules and they have other studios that they work with. So, every time they release a movie, the job of distribution is a massively complex and well-oiled machine, which is like something that I think a lot of us as film fans don't fully appreciate, all the mechanics that go into actual film distribution. But anyway, so it's a little bit more complicated than that. But yeah, I have no doubt that Odyssey, which, IMAX worked with Christopher Nolan, they actually developed a camera for him to use on it. So they clearly have plans to have that on IMAX for sure. All right, what's next?
Silent Ghost says, sorry if I sound like a sinner's glazer, but it was just that good to me. It was so impactful to me. I'm writing a film analysis as my senior thesis. That's really cool. It'll be about the themes of the film.
That's the beautiful thing about movies, man. Like every once in a while, movies like hit us and impact us, and they just stay with us. And we just think and we ruminate on them, and they just stay with us and stay. That's one of the greatest things about the art, man. And if Sinners did that for you, that's awesome. All right, what's next?
We got Mark Robinson says CBC News says Canadian box office isn't available as it's added the U.S. domestic box office a year ago. Wouldn't bother me. It's actually North American box offices. I don't know why they said U.S., but that's just the way it is. That's the agreements that they have.
Again, it's all in how it functions.
Yeah.
So, all right, what's next?
We got Silent Ghost. Will you do any movie meetups in near West Virginia? I can't travel far and would like to meet you. Also, no IMAX or Dolby close to my town, sadly.
Look, I'm just going to be, I could sit here and lie and say, oh yeah, we're definitely going to, I have no plans to go to Virginia because I literally just don't think there's any, I can't think of a significant metropolitan area where there would even be anybody who watches our show there.
Yeah.
And remember, like, do keep in mind, when I do these movie meetups, we're talking about me committing a week of being on the road and driving like 10, 20 plus hours to get to a place. And so I need to be efficient about planning our locations where the highest number of people who watch our show can benefit from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know if West Virginia is going to be one of those concentrations of places.
Someone said like Baltimore or DC is in that zone, you know what I mean? Where people could travel to.
Yeah. Again, I'm not saying it's off the radar, but it's not one I've considered yet, just to be honest with you.
There's some areas people were going to have to travel, you know,
right.
Because Vika says, will you do any Doomsday Secret Wars movie meetups?
Probably not. Listen, because look, when we do a movie meetup, we generally try to do it, number one, during a weekday and to a movie that is either beyond its opening weekend. And because what we want is a movie theater that would be practically empty. Pardon me. That would be practically empty.
Yeah.
Because we want it to be able to be filled up with people coming to the movie meetup.
Because you could end up where like 50 people want to go and only 6 could get in.
Yeah, there's only 6 seats. So we can go into a movie meetup, but nobody was able to get a seat to it. So I don't think we'll be doing anything for Doomsday. All right, what's next?
We got Vikas, who says, my dream is for Scorsese to cameo in Wonder Man as he watches rushes, calling it cinema. Otherwise, to show up as Stan Lee variant in Secret Wars.
You know what is funny about Wonder Man? First of all, let's be clear. I am a Yahya Abdul-Mateen fan. I think he's a tremendous talent and a tremendous actor. But it is kind of funny. If you remember back to shortly after he did the Aquaman films, and he said, man, I'm ready to move on from this clown work. These comic book movies, clown work.
Yep.
And yet here we are.
I didn't forget.
Ready for Wonder Man to come out again.
I didn't forget.
Again, I'm not trying to dish shade on him because I really like him. I like him a lot. And I'm looking forward to seeing his performance in this. But it is kind of funny that he says that now. Here we are, right back to the beginning. All right, what's next?
Jared Oberfeld says, I think Master of the Universe looks like there is a heavy focus on just being fun, which I'm okay with. And Travis Knight has shown that he knows how to make a fun movie.
I don't disagree. I listen, if he can just make it, because remember, we're talking about He-Man, for heaven's sakes.
There's got to be some levity.
If he can make it, if he can do with Masters of the Universe what he did with Bumblebee, it's going to be a win across the board.
Yeah.
It's going to be a total win. And I definitely see shades of that in the trailer. And if he can make that happen, it's going to be terrific. All right, what's next?
So it says, with Tron franchises never nominated for Best Visual Effects, what is the biggest Oscar snub?
I mean, Tron had some really good effects. It really did. But I don't consider it not getting a nomination for Best Visual Effects any kind of a snub. I don't really think there were any big overt snubs this year. Again, I find it a little questionable that out of all the best visual effects, all the tentpole comic book films, none of them got on there. That's a little weird to me. But aside from that issue, again, I would have had Weapons get a nomination for Best Picture, but it would have been in the 9 or 10 slot, so it's not really that big of a deal. I wouldn't qualify that as a snub. I don't really think there were any big snubs this year, to be honest with you. All right, what's next?
We got Johnny who says finally watched all the Long of the Rings this week. I think
Probably
he meant the
Lord
Long,
of the
yeah,
Rings.
Lord of the Rings this weekend for the first time.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing. How great to do that in theaters.
Yeah.
For the first time seeing it. A bit too long, in my opinion, but that's because they're the extended version, and each had Peter Jackson rambling on for 12 minutes. Oh, so they had like
Yeah, some
Peter
special feature stuff.
Oh, wow.
You know what? Listen, I take a very unpopular position amongst my friends, which once again, it's okay because it's often lonely being right. But while I absolutely appreciate the extended versions as bonus, to me, the better and definitive Lord of the Rings is the original theatrical version. Listen, all the stuff that's put into the extended version is really cool to see as a fan of the movies, and you get to see all this extra stuff. But it was cut out a lot of it was cut out for a reason. And I stand by it, and I will debate anybody about it. I still think the definitive version of Lord of the Rings, the true and best version of Lord of the Rings, is the original theatrical version. And I'm a fan of the extended editions, but I'm a fan of them for what they are. Little bonus material, but the actual cut of the movie I still think is the superior one. But that's just me. All right, what's next?
Really wish you were here says, I think RDJ will be under the mask for the majority of Doomsday. Is that a realistic expectation? Because Marvel will probably want to show his face.
I cannot address that.
Yeah.
I cannot address that, unfortunately.
Mr. I says, I like the
Masters of the Universe?
Yeah, Masters of the Universe trailer. Two things I'd like to see in the movie: Dolph Lundgren cameo,
Absolutely not.
and a Skeletor remember meme post-credit scene.
Yeah, also absolutely not. Because now you're getting into, remember a little bit earlier in the show we were talking about how the trailer gives me two different vibes. On the good side, it's got some Thor Ragnarok vibes.
Yeah.
On the not so good side, there are times it gives Thor Love and Thunder vibes. If you were to put that stuff in the movie, it would reek of Thor Love and Thunder vibes. And that's not what they're going for. Although at some point I do want to hear Jared Leto do the Skeletor.
God.
Curse you, He-Man! Yeah. Yeah, sure, that would be kind of fun for a second. But yeah, you don't want to get too much into Thor Love and Thunder. All right, what's next?
We got Mr. I, yes. What percentage chance would you give of Orko being in Masters of the Universe? Though that Cringer Battle Cat was in there. Still hasn't shown up. Could come up near the end or something. I don't know.
5%. And you know what? I've already seen people starting to say, you got to have Orko. No, you don't. No, you don't. You really don't. Orko was never an important part of the show. He was just always there. And I think it would serve this movie better just not to have him. And I know I'm going to make some purists really upset when I say that, but I'm going to be honest with you, you don't need to have Orko. Now, if they do, that's fine. And I don't think it's impossible. So I'm not going to say 0, but I'll say 5 to 10%. All right, what's next?
What? The curtains? No, not the curtains, boy. Hi, John. Love the show. I wish George Lucas had directed the dunk pooping scene. If only so he could have asked for a second take that was faster, more intense.
Now, for those of you who don't know, that's a number of the actors, particularly in the Star Wars movies, like George's idea of directing is saying, okay, let's do it again. This time, faster and more intense. And something along those lines.
Right.
Yes, man, that pooping scene, I got to tell you, have you watched episode 1 yet?
Yes.
Okay. That whole setup with him looking off in the distance and the Game of Thrones music, boom, boom,
the
boom,
direction in that was amazing.
and then the hard cut to the crapping. Listen, I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you I laughed my guts out.
I did, but I wish it was just a separate version. I could just edit just to watch that one, because the directing in his eyes and everything was just so great,
Yeah.
where he was looking. Mate, thoughts on Maul Shadow Lord trailer? We kind of answered that.
Again, I'm really honestly not planning on watching it because I think it's a completely pointless thing. But even I gotta say, it was a very good trailer. Very good trailer.
All right, we got 5 more.
All right.
Anthony says, love $50 super chat, by the way.
Oh, thank you, Anthony, for supporting us on that level, man. That's incredibly generous of you, dude.
Yeah. Love the nostalgia feel yesterday with the Masters of the Universe teaser to the teaser. He-Man is the hero we need right now. I was really starting to worry that there would be no air left in the room for Masters of the Universe. Today I am
Avengers.
What?
Avengers.
We all have the power, but I'll tell you what, I'm still Avengers.
Oh yeah, I'm still more focused on Avengers.
Yeah.
But look, I wasn't kidding earlier when I said fans. Look, the biggest problem with us as movie fans, the biggest fallacy and ridiculous thing that we as movie fans often do is that we think making movies is easy. You know, there's an old saying that says everybody thinks the things they don't do are easy. And to make any movie good, like I always hear these people go, making this movie should have been easy. No. You're an idiot. It is never easy.
John, it writes itself.
It writes itself. It should have been easy. Just do this and it's just a good movie. Fucking imbeciles. And I say that about all of us. Like we've all done it. We've all done it. And we're completely ignorant when we do. Because making any movie good is a Herculean task. And in particular, trying to bring the ridiculousness of a He-Man thing to a live action feature film is fraught, as Rob would say, with peril, and I would say fraught with landmines. Man, that is going to be a tough sell, a tough thing to pull off, and a tough thing to do. But if he can do it, it ain't going to be replacing anybody on anybody's list for Avengers. But if he can do it, it's going to be something really special. Like really special and really fun. If he can find a way to crack that code, and it's going to be hard, man. And I think the trailer itself represents how hard it's going to be. But if he can do it, man, it's going to be something special. All right, what's next?
We got Joe Adonis. Hi, John. Are you caught up with Landman? All I can say is I do not want to mess with Rebecca, although when she starts doing those legal mumbo jumbos, it's really hot.
I have not. I love Landman season 1. Loved it. But much like Fallout, which I also love season 1, I've not even started watching season 2 of either Fallout or Landman. And I gotta get caught up on those because I love both those shows. So trying to work that in with keeping now up with A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms and keeping up with The Pit, which has returned, and bunch of other things. But yes, I will get caught up on Landman, but I just haven't yet. All right, what's next?
Johnny says, I checked, but it was still worth the wait. Return of the King is my favorite. Iconic lines, you bow to no one, and Rohan's will answer, and Denethor's Deathfall.
Listen, you guys, I've spent so many countless hours on this show waxing poetic about the magnificence of Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, and all those great moments, and just one of the greatest moments to me in cinematic history with the beacons have been lit, Gondor calls for aid. The king and Rohan will answer. Oh, one of the greatest moments in cinematic history. But so, yeah, I'm glad you finally had a chance to experience it. All right, what's next?
Okay, I'll do a little roundup of support from Dean Talks Movies. Vicus and Dean Talks Movies again, thank you for your support. And this is our final super chat here from Oscar, who says, need a recreation of the Skeletor laughing while running away meme in the movie. Also give me Panther slams fist on desk. Yeah, but I don't want that meme because that's too silly.
It's a cute idea.
Yes.
But then you are firmly making this movie Thor Love and Thunder.
You're trying to make it slapstick.
Yeah. Now you're making Thor Love and Thunder. Now you're making Naked Gun. And I think while you want some levity and you want some humor and you want some of the spirit of the original show, you don't want to swing that pendulum too far the other way. But man, some of those memes online are some of the most hilarious.
Yeah.
They're really, really good. And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show, thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Hey guys, don't forget to come on back and join us again tomorrow. We got a couple special things lined up for it. We're looking forward to seeing you then. So, for Robert Meyer Burnett, our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
See you guys later.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends. That was terrible.